Talk more about how the race massacre has been portrayed in media is Dr. Rosemary Avant, a professor in strategic communications at OSU Tulsa. Doctor, thank you so much for coming by today.
Thank you for having me.
And to talk about this important topic. I want to start with that and the media accounts of what happened in 1921 and really why this story kind of fell off course for so long in this
Right.
city.
Well, you have to remember, first of all, that the massacre didn't happen in a vacuum, and there was a lot of context and kind of building up to the moment. The news press at the time, of course, it's 1921. There's not radio in Tulsa until 2 years later. We don't have a way to tune in to your local channel and watch television and get the news. So the newspaper really provided the information for citizens in Tulsa. And we had two major white-run newspapers in the area. And for months leading up to the massacre, the Tulsa Tribune in particular was kind of fomenting some racial division in the city. They were frequently publishing articles about black people had transgressed segregation laws. There had been just 10 days before the massacre, there had been an expose published in the Tribune where a white minister and a judge and a former deputy had sort of infiltrated Greenwood and wrote kind of what they posed as an investigative piece about what they saw as the evils of Greenwood. They talked about being offered alcohol, which this is during Prohibition. They talked about being offered prostitutes. Of course, unsubstantiated claims, but this was published and given a lot of press at the time, and just 10 days before the massacre. Another thing in that article that was published was that white girls had been seen in Greenwood dancing to black music. So they were dancing to jazz, it was new at the time. And that trope of white women being in danger from black people, black men especially, is seen throughout media all the way to today. We still see that today. So then 10 days later, it's no surprise that something happens. Historians still not quite sure what happened in that elevator, but at least we know that there was a claim that a white woman was assaulted. And so this is building on that stereotype that has been suggested to white Tulsans leading up to the point. And so then the Tribune publishes an article with the headline, "Nabbed Negro for Attacking Girl in Elevator." And that to me sounds like instructions, right? It's not reporting, it's instructions on what people should do about what's happening. And so that was taken as a cry for a lynching, which was not uncommon in Tulsa or other areas at that time. And so that's what led into the mob storming the courthouse and then the events that followed for the next 2 days.
Doctor, I'm interested in your thoughts on, how the historical of the Tulsa race riot played a part in shaping a false narrative of what really unfolded on Greenwood.
Right. Well, we know that words are so important, and the way you choose to describe an event can have implications for how people imagine it and who they imagine is at fault. The word we use in journalism and reporting associated with urban violence, typically chaotic urban violence, and typically associated with people of color. And it's not a term that's associated with armed white militias who are trained in combat coming in and destroying an area. And so that using the word riot really places very strategic. It wasn't until just this March that the Library of Congress adopted the term massacre to describe that event.
All right, Dr. Rosemary Avant from OSU Tulsa, thank you so much for coming by today.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it. And listen, we're going to have an event, an hour-long special next Thursday at 8 p.m. to commemorate the centennial of the race massacre, so we hope you'll join us for that. Ashley, back to you.
Celebrating